Why the hell didn't they teach us this stuff in school? Seriously.
I know, right? It's one of those things you stumble across and it just clicks.
Totally. And today, we're diving deep into one of those idea bombs, the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, it really shakes up the usual thinking about money, school, work, all of it.
And look, this isn't going to be some dry finance lecture. It's more about exploring these potentially game-changing mindsets, ideas that might help you get more financially aware.
Exactly. Think of it like a wake-up call. It kind of puts the spotlight on the advice we all get, go to school, get a job, and asks, hang on, is this the only way? Or even the best way?
Uh-huh. So our mission, let's say, is to pull out the really key insights from the book, the stuff that helps you understand how wealthy people often approach money, well, just differently.
And it really comes down to that core contrast, doesn't it? Kiyosaki's two dads.
Right. He's got his actual dad, the poor dad, super educated, high position in the school system, but always, financially stressed.
And then the rich dad, his best friend's father, didn't even finish 8th grade, supposedly, but built serious wealth because he understood money.
And the book really hammers home it's not just about the diploma. It's about the mindset, a
Yeah.
fundamentally different way of thinking.
So let's dig into that. What were the big differences in their beliefs? What drove them down such different paths?
Well, the poor dad, like we said, very traditional, believed in good grades, get a secure job, the whole package deal,
Yeah.
climb the corporate ladder,
The path most of us are pointed towards, right? Safe,
Huh.
reliable.
supposedly. Yeah. But the rich dad, his focus was totally different. It was about understanding how money works, buying things that make you money assets, and getting your money to work for you.
Instead of you always working for it.
Exactly.
And it really hits home when you think about it. So many people follow that poor dad script, good education, stable job,
Check, check, check.
and they still end up worrying about money down the road. But then you see entrepreneurs, investors, maybe without all the degrees, finding financial freedom way earlier.
It's a paradox almost.
It really suggests that, well, formal education is valuable, no doubt, but it doesn't automatically give you financial smarts. The book argues your mindset, how you approach money and opportunity, that's the real kicker. Less about the paper on the wall.
More about what's going on upstairs.
Precisely.
Okay, so a cornerstone of the book, maybe the cornerstone is assets versus liabilities. Can you break that down, make it stick?
Absolutely. And it's actually deceptively simple. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket.
In, out. Got it.
Rich Dad's philosophy. Focus like a laser on acquiring assets. The poor and middle class, they often end up accumulating liabilities, sometimes without even realizing it, thinking they're assets.
Okay, give some everyday examples. Make it real.
All right. Think about buying a shiny new car with a loan. Drives off the lot, boom, value drops. Depreciation.
Yeah.
Then you've got the loan payments, insurance, gas, repairs. It's constantly sucking money out. That car. Classic liability in this view.
Bleeding you dry.
Right. Now flip it, same cash, maybe 30 grand. Use it as a down payment on a small rental property. A little duplex, maybe.
Okay.
If that duplex, after mortgage, taxes, upkeep, all that stuff, still puts, say, $600 a month in your pocket from rent,
Then that's the asset.
bingo. It's feeding you money consistently. Now, it's worth noting, some modern economists might quibble a bit, especially about the primary home.
Right. Kiyosaki calls it a liability, but houses can appreciate.
Exactly. It depends on the market, your specific situation. Things the book maybe simplifies a touch, but the core principle holds.
So the takeaway is we need to question our purchases.
Totally. Just ask yourself, does this thing feed me or does it bleed me? It's a powerful filter for, everyday spending.
That leads right into this idea of escaping the rat race. What is the rat race, according to the book?
Oh, it paints a vivid picture. It's that grind, right? You work hard, you earn money,
Then you pay the bills.
then you pay the bills, maybe buy some nicer stuff because you're earning more lifestyle inflation.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. And suddenly you need to keep working just as hard or harder just to maintain it all. It's like a hamster wheel. You're running and running, but not really getting financially ahead.
Especially now, you think.
Yeah.
With automation, jobs changing.
Mm.
Does that make escaping even more urgent?
That's a really interesting point. You could argue that relying solely on a job becomes riskier, making asset building even more critical for security.
So could you give us a contrast, like two different people?
Sure. Imagine person A makes, say, $6 grand a month. Good income. But they spend like $5,800, barely anything left over.
Living paycheck to paycheck, basically, even with a good salary.
Right. Now, person B makes less, maybe $4,000 a month, but they're disciplined. They live on $2,500 and invest the other $1,500 every single month into things that generate income.
Assets.
Assets. Now, who do you think gets to financial freedom faster, even though person A earns more right now?
Yeah, it's got a person B building that foundation. It's not just about the income number.
Not at all. It's about what you do with it. Getting out of the race isn't about luck, like winning the lottery.
Although that would be nice.
Wouldn't it? But no, the book says it's about understanding the game of money and then actively, learning to play it well, moving from paycheck dependence to building your own income streams.
Which brings us to cash flow. How does the book frame cash flow versus just aiming for a higher salary?
It really puts cash flow on a pedestal. A high salary is great, don't get me wrong, but Rich Dad argues that real security, real freedom comes from building reliable streams of cash flow from assets money that comes in whether you punch a clock or not.
Give us another concrete example of that power.
Okay, think about someone who sets up, 3 simple vending machines in good locations. Maybe each one nets $300 a month after costs.
Okay, so $900 a month total.
Right. $900 coming in pretty consistently, whether they had a busy week at a day job or took the week off. Now compare that to someone pulling down, say, $150K a year in a high-stress corporate job.
That's pretty good.
It does. Until maybe there's a layoff or they burn out, then that income goes to zero. Poof. The vending machine owner. They still have that $900 coming in. They own a system, however small, that generates income.
That really clarifies it. Owning the system, not just being a cog in it. Okay, financial education. The book bangs this drum hard. What kind of education are we talking about?
Yeah, it argues that typical schooling misses the mark here. You can be brilliant at your job, doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever, but if you don't understand how money actually works...
Taxes, investing.
Exactly. Taxes, reading financial statements, knowing how to create passive income. If you don't get that stuff, you're likely going to struggle, or at least not reach your potential financially. It stresses actively seeking out that kind of knowledge.
Can you show how that plays out practically? How does that knowledge become, a superpower?
Okay, take someone who really learns about the stock market. Not just chasing hot tips, but understanding value, dividends, market cycles.
Doing the homework.
Right. They might build a portfolio of solid dividend-paying stocks that just drips cash into their account regularly. They understand the tax rules around investing, so they structure things smartly. It's not luck.
It's knowing the rules of the financial game.
Exactly. And the book's point is, this isn't some secret knowledge only for the super rich. It's fundamental. It's a skill anyone can and should learn.
Makes sense. Okay, last big concept. Shifting from an employee mindset to an ownership mindset. What's the core difference?
It boils down to this. Are you focused on being the best possible player in someone else's game, climbing their ladder? Or are you focused on building and owning your own game, owning the ladder itself?
Employee versus entrepreneur, basically.
Sort of, but it's broader than just starting a business. The employee mindset often prioritizes security, benefits, moving up within the existing structure. The ownership mindset is about building your own assets, your own systems, things that create wealth independent of your direct labor.
How might that look different in practice?
Well, instead of just, say, being a great barista at a coffee shop,
Making awesome lattes.
right. Someone with an ownership mindset might still make great lattes, but they're also watching everything, how ordering works, the marketing, customer flow, the numbers, because maybe someday they want to open their own cafe.
Seeing the whole picture, not just their task.
Exactly. It's a shift from just thinking, how do I get a raise, to thinking, how do I build something that generates income for me even when I'm sleeping?
Got it. So bringing this all home, what's the big takeaway message people should get from Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Fundamentally, I think it's about empowerment. It's about realizing you can take control of your financial life. It challenges that common narrative that we're just supposed to work for someone else, pay our bills, and hope for the best.
Yeah, it kind of pushes back on the idea that we're just meant to obey and work rather than create and think financially for ourselves.
Right. The ultimate message is freedom. And that freedom, according to the book, comes less from a high salary and more from strategically buying or building assets that work for you.
Making money work for you, not the other way around. That's the mantra.
That's the core idea. The wealthy build and buy assets, period.
So for everyone listening, maybe the big question to chew on is, am I mostly buying assets right now? Or am I mostly just paying bills and accumulating liabilities?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And look, to make it less abstract, maybe try a few things. First, just track your spending for a month, honestly. See where the money's really going.
Shine a light on it.
Yeah. Second, find one habit, just one, that's clearly building liabilities. Maybe it's too many subscriptions, daily fancy coffees, whatever. And try redirecting even a small part of that cash towards learning about or starting a tiny asset. Could be putting $20 into an investment account, buying a book on real estate.
Small steps.
Small steps. And third, maybe commit to learning one new cash flow idea this week. Read an article about dividend stocks, watch a video on setting up an online store, or listen to a podcast about rental properties. Just expand your knowledge base.
That's solid, practical advice. So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is, how actively are you building financial control? Like, really? And what's just one thing, one small step you can take today towards maybe eventually owning your own ladder?